Hello! Welcome to episode 58 of We Have Issues. I'm Anthony, and Steven abandoned me. If you're wondering why the video looks a little different, it's because I completely accidentally freaked out without having Steven and deleted the intro, and I got sad, and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, get in the trash, recycling bin for you. That's not what happened. I don't know. There was a technical difficulty, and thankfully, I have all of the episode, with the exception of this. Why? Because we have issues. If you watch our show, you know that every week Steve and I get together and we do our best to just get something done. We try to grade something comic booky. I'm not gonna usually I say like a little thing, but Steven's not here. I'm gonna change it up. I'm just gonna tell you that we're doing our best. We're creating comic books. We're creating novels. We're creating everything we've ever wanted to create. And we're trying to get it done together, and we're holding ourselves accountable by having a podcast. So we're just discussing all of the ridiculous hardships and hiccups and nonsense that happen along the way. As we're going on with our creative journeys, trying to make something in the world. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. There's always something, right? There's always something. It's so hard to juggle all the stuff. Like this, like I have technical issues, and my co-host isn't here, and I'm late at night, and I'm tired, and I was going to watch Squid Game again or something. There's so much to do. But we're trying, so thank you all for joining us. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, help us out a little bit. Everything counts. This week, my incredible co-host, Stevie Wildcard, Steven Todd, is out. But I do need someone. To help me out because I can't do this by myself. And because of that, I have a fantastic guest. I found someone in the writing community. I just cast that net out and I was like, help me. And thankfully, a wonderful writer, a published author was like, I got you. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the podcast the fantastic person, wonderful author, Fanny T. Crispin. Welcome to the show, Fanny T. Crispin. Hello. It's nice to see you. It's so interesting to see people from Twitter and actually talk. Yeah,
I've been noticing this thing where I have a complete, I don't know what to call it, but as soon as I hear their voice, I go, that was not what I imagined.
Yeah, it was really funny because I've only heard clips of your voice and you've done different accents, so I was just like, I had no idea where you were from or what you sounded like at all, and I was like, this is going to be interesting. I might need subtitles. This is going to be great.
I don't understand my fake accent that I was doing for Dinosaurus.
I love that accent. Are you okay saying where you're actually from?
Yeah, I'm from Beloit, Wisconsin, which is in the States here. Little Po downtown, you're going to drive right past it. Just don't blink.
Have you ever seen, since you're from Wisconsin, have you ever seen or heard of the movie, American Movie?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there's a movie called American Movie. It's a documentary about this guy, Mark Borchardt, who wants to be a filmmaker, right? I grew up and I just all I ever wanted to do was make movies, and I was just I just want to write movies, and I was like, I just want to write. What am I doing? It's just but it started. It was movies. Oh my gosh, why am I not making movies? So I watched this documentary. It was about this guy named Mark, and he lived in Wisconsin, and everyone in the movie has the best accent I've ever heard in my entire life. Okay,
is it a Wisconsin accent?
No. Here's the thing. Maybe they all sound slightly different from each other, which is really interesting. It might be dialectic. I don't know, what the situation is, but they're all such characters in the movie that that's why I was wondering if you were familiar with it, because I think it's probably to Wisconsin what Letterkenny is to Canada now, where it's people see it and they're like, oh, is that what Canadians are like? But it's no, that's what that one small group of people in Canada is like no.
Took actors from all over the state and picked up all the dialects.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love that movie so much. I was wondering if
check it out.
Cool. Yeah. It's really good, actually. It's really inspirational. It's motivational, because you see this guy who's his entire dream is to be a filmmaker, and he does nothing but study film and try his best to make films, but you see all the stuff that gets in the way, and all the problems that he has, and how hard it is to get support from your community and support from your friends, and even when you do get it, you get I hate to do the beggars can't be choosers thing, but it's true. You don't always get the best support. You get the aunt who doesn't pay attention to anything, who won't read your book anyway, but she shares your posts, so that's cool. But no one likes it, so it's okay, but can more people like my stuff? So that
I have the best aunt in the world. I just have to plug that, or she will kill me.
Oh, I do too. Honestly, my dad has 5 sisters, so I grew up with all aunts. Yeah, I was just all aunts all the time, and they're all very supportive and awesome. But
Right, generally speaking.
But generally speaking, and also like with the podcast, I think only one of them listens to the podcast. Also, hi Aunt Kim. So it's interesting, like to deal with those issues and then know that like I don't know, just trying to find the support, like your community is just hard. It's like finding your tribe and getting keeping them. So what's your experience like on Twitter? Because that's how we met. Has that been like a mostly positive experience for you? What's that like finding your tribe?
Yeah, for the most part. I think I joined in like 2015 or so when I first started publishing, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand. I was like, where are people's profiles? Where are the pictures? Where are they getting all this? Why is it all one jumbled, streamlined? So for years, I didn't use it. And then I don't know, just this year, probably the isolation from 2020 and not being able to see people, and then not liking anyone on Facebook. They don't talk. They don't talk. Let's just put it that way. It's not that I don't like them. They're all my family. Getting on Twitter, and I had no intention to market my books or anything. I was just like, I just want to meet people. Oh, you look cool, and you look cool. And I'm going to talk to you. And oh my gosh, they're talking back to me. So it's been mostly positive, yeah. But I just am on there to talk to people and enjoy their company. So I don't start anything.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Like I had a very similar experience with Twitter where it was like I began Twitter. I remember like years ago, I remember Twitter was just like the thing Ashton Kutcher would talk about, where he was like, you can talk to celebrities, you see what they want to say. It was like I don't know if I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of this. So then it was like, but then just like any other social media that like slowly rolls out, I'm like, okay, fine. If it's still around after a while, I'll see what all the fuss is about. So like I got on there, and it was just like, it felt like a bunch of randos texting me, like it felt like I don't know if do I care about these people? I don't know anyone, so I remember I started like writing stuff, like just like silly jokes and like random things. It was just, and it was just crickets, just like dead air, like silence, like just tumbleweeds tumbling down through my Twitter feed. And I was just like, no one loves me here. This isn't the place for me. I'll go back to Facebook. So I go to Facebook, and then it's just like politics, hatred, or just a bunch of babies, which is like, I get it. I'm at the age now where it's like people have been married, they're getting married, and they're having babies, and it's happening. I'm like, but here I am going like, I'm writing a book. And they're like, it's just like, yeah, but does it need diapers? Like, no.
You take cute pictures.
Yeah, can I tell you? I should have done that. I should have.
Diaper pictures.
Why don't we take diaper pictures? I'm gonna get one of those mats where it's like, 1 month. What's my book look like in 1 month? What's my book look like in 2 months?
A comic book. You could totally do that.
I was gonna do it. So every month I'm just gonna have different things. See, there you go. It's our baby. It's a beautiful art baby. but that's all Facebook was for a while. And then like, of course, recently it became like, it just like bubbled up with hatred and like weird politics, and everyone's fighting about everything. And I was just like, this isn't what I want in my life. I was like, I already have we all have so much that we're juggling already, and so much that we're dealing with in our personal lives. And I was just like, I don't need to choose to dive into that particular pool. I was like, I see the sharks. No thanks. Like, I don't. Why would I do that? So anyways, so I jumped back on Twitter because I was like, silence is better than violence, and I was just like,
that's a really good tagline. I like that.
I was like, it's true. I was like, nah. Well, in that, at least in that context, where it's just like, so I jumped, and I was like, I'd rather be ignored than like hated for being me. Like, that's crazy, So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be over here. And so I was just like posting random stuff, and as I was posting, I'd notice like some people would start to like stuff, and I'd get like a little bit more followers, and it was just like, I don't know what to talk about. I'm writing this book, but does anyone care? Like, I don't know, but then you realize that like there are so many people in the similar boat where it's like whatever part of the writing, procedure, like whatever part of the process you're in, someone is in that water with you, so it's really interesting to be like, like right now I'm drafting, and people are like, oh, drafting, oh man, so then you talk about it. So it's funny. The thing that scares me about it is like, then you see the people who are a little further along in a process where they're like, I'm querying all these people, and it's terrible, and I hate my life, and everything's sad, and I can't believe it. And I'm like, it's like, oh, it's like seeing the people coming off the roller coaster and they're missing limbs, and you're just getting on the roller coaster, and you're like, where did you raise your arms? Because I don't want to raise my arms that way. You know.
Yeah.
Um, so what's like? What's your writing career like right now? Like, what are you trying to do, and what have you done so far?
What I'm trying to do is break into the middle grade fiction genre.
Oh, cool.
Most of my books are about high school level. You know, I tend to use bigger words. I did a ton of reading as a kid, so I generally write with a bigger vocabulary. And I've tried to like sell those down to like middle school, and one girl read it and understood most of what was going on, but she was a smart cookie. So I'm trying to break into the middle grade, which was a lot of fun to write. That's the one I'm currently querying.
Oh, do you have a particular genre that you stick to, or do you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantasy fiction all the way. I
Cool.
don't go out of there. I've tried writing science fiction. I love reading it. I love science fiction. I am not a brainiac. I don't know anything about compulsion drives or hyperdrives or what do the buttons do.
Nice.
Fantasy fiction.
Mhm.
That's where I stay.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Since your name is Fantasy. Yep. It's very
Yeah.
clever. It's very smart. I can't imagine it's Steven and I talk about this all the time because we're just like we're the two goobers online where it's like our ats are just our names. You know? Like just this is my actual name. You can just go ahead and find me in the phone books if those exist and whenever this comes out. I don't think they exist anymore. You know, the phone books are just paper mache fodder, right? Like that's what
Isn't that what I use to heighten my laptop so I can see better? Isn't that what that is for?
that's pretty much it, right? But no one's needed a phone book in at least 20 years anyway. Like those have been, come on. But yeah, I like we have our real names on there, and it's so funny because like your name like, it was obviously a pseudonym, but when I saw it, I was just like, oh, that's fun, that's clever, you know. There's I as I experience Twitter, I learn more and more people use pen names, and it just blows my mind sometimes because I'm just like I don't expect it, you know. If someone's name is like like John Smith, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's just his name. And it's like, nope, I made that up. Haha, fooled you, sucker. Like I'm a writer. That was fiction. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, okay, fine. Nobody wants me to know them. Everyone hates me. No one wants me close. I get it. No, okay.
But I think if you're not using a pseudonym, you don't expect it.
Yeah.
If you are using a pseudonym, you kind of expect everyone else to be lying too.
Yeah.
It's kind of just the name of the game, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's so funny though. But I was thankful that yours and like a few others like Paige Turner, it's like there are like the little joking ones where it's like, okay, obviously that's not their real name. However, you're always going to be Fanny to me, and that's the one like interesting thing about that is like Paige will always be Paige, like you'll always be Fanny, and like some other people will always be there. It's just it's a good thing because you're known. It's a and especially so is that going to be your publishing name?
Yes. And really the conception of it, you talk about like being memorable. There is one book that I read as a kid, and I'll never remember the title of the book, but the author's name was N.E. Body.
Nice.
Anybody. I will never forget him.
That's cute. That is funny.
Or her. I don't know who.
Yeah, nobody knows. It makes sense in like, so many of like the really famous authors are just pen names or fake people like Stephen King. There's no real Stephen King. You see his picture. That's not him.
No.
Nope. It's actually 7 young girls in middle school. They change every year. I'm just kidding. It's a Voltron situation. It's a Captain Planet situation of horror is what it is. Like it's different subgenres. They each have a ring. It's like one is like creature features, one is slasher, one is supernatural. And when they come together, when their powers combine, he is Stephen King, and he comes about and he.
No, that's Nancy Drew. You're getting it all confused.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I know that's not really what's happening, but it's really what's happening. Don't listen to her, everyone. So you're trying to write fantasy middle grade fiction, which is really cool. It's really admirable. So where are you in your writing journey right now? Do you have any published books?
I do. I have 3 published novels now.
Cool.
The first one I put out is the first year I did National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo. So that one is near and dear to my heart. But since then, I've done a 2-part series, Sir Ivan's Train. So they are conjoined. You should buy one first and then the second one. But yeah, I've had those out for a number of years now. And those are the 3 that I've got published.
That's awesome. What are you working on right now?
Emma Thompson and the Really Bad Circus.
That sounds really cool. So where are you in the process of that?
it's finished writing. It's been edited and proofread.
Nice.
And now I'm querying it. So this is my middle grade fiction that I am querying now for an agent.
It's that sounds, yeah, I was gonna say it sounds stressful. Because I was gonna ask you then next. I guess I'll start with like a general question because it's something that we talk about pretty often in the podcast, and I'm always really interested in is like what are the issues that you generally have when you're writing and creating and coming up with things? Like what hindrances do you have that seem to just rear their heads over and over?
For me, it's probably just mental burnout, just everything of being an adult, like, making sure your work is done, and then you got to clean the house, and you got to cook dinner, you got to take care of a kid. I've got a cat. It's pretty similar. And just having that mental burnout going, I don't feel creative. I'm not inspired. And I'm not one of the diligent people that are like, I'm going to set time aside every day and write. I decided for myself, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I wrote Emma Thompson in 2 months because I was super inspired.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes.
Of course.
I've got a book that I finally finished after 10 years or so. But writing's not going to be my career. I've got a career that I like, and writing is my hobby, and I want to keep it that way.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And you have 3 published books and 1 hopefully going to get you agented / yeah, that's going to be amazing. I'm really excited. So what's the querying process like for you so far? What have you been up to? And like, have you heard back from anyone? What's it like?
Aside from like the initial like rejection, which is always a killer blow,
Oof.
It's really not been too bad. Just the fact that you're getting rejected has hindered me. But overall, every agent that I've queried has been super nice. They've probably got a template that they just fill out and they insert their name.
Just like a form letter, yeah.
The template is super nice. It's, hey, I really enjoyed your query. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think your story is great. However, it doesn't fit in what I'm working with right now. I'm like, that's so fair. I can understand that. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna go cry now. But I haven't had any bad rejections.
Right.
Some of them have not responded, but usually they tell you they're not going to respond. And no response is an answer from us.
Of course.
They tell you. It doesn't shock me. So I kind of keep a list of all of them. And
right. Cool.
I've got a spreadsheet.
You're not doing like the physical Stephen King nail of like, putting them on your wall every time you get rejected until one's
no.
You don't want to see it every day and feel that every day. No, I'm kidding.
I prefer to numb myself and take shots when I get rejected.
Yep. That's it's really just an excuse to drink, right? I mean, just like that's what writing is, just gonna do it. No, that's so cool though. So do you have like a whole file of just like future submissions then? Like are you ready to just keep going?
Or? I've got a whole file of future books, but they all need like heavy work. So I do have a lot of completed novels. Mm-hmm. It's first draft only. So in that regard, I'm not ready. No.
I submitted 1 query just because okay, so I'll tell you what happened to me. I've always just wanted to be self-published. I never even thought about querying and trying to go the traditional route. I know that my first novel is like ridiculously unconventional and like very silly. Probably unpublishable in the mainstream media. Like not for any like controversial reason, just for the way I chose to tell the story and how silly it is. Like it has a lot of just like nonsense, and I broke a lot of like weird conventional little rules that I probably shouldn't have, but it was fun and I enjoyed the book and I still like it for what it is. However, there was one night where I was just watching movies and drinking and hanging out, and I was skimming through Twitter, the page of an agent whom I had like been following for a while, and I was like, you know what? I like this guy. Tonight's the night. So I sent him over an email, and like I was not sober. So it was really funny. It was like, and like I read it the next morning and I was like, that does sound like me. It sounds like a very drunk me. No typos that I see, so I feel good about that. The rest of it though, what am I doing with myself? This is so silly. I literally was just like, I forget what I called him, but instead of just saying like, just like naming him and saying like, do you make concern or like anything formal at all, I was just like, what did I say? It was like, dear Samson of the Dark Realm. Like, it was something absurd, and I was like, why did I do that? And I think it's because I think what happens to me is like when I start getting too in my head about something and I'm like, this has to be very professional and very formal, I start like, that makes sense. But then I start overthinking it, and I'm like, they see this. They see this all day. He sees his name all day. He needs to know that I know who he is. He's Samson of the Dark Realm, baby. Like, that's who he is as a human being. You know, I was like, I see you, and I need you to know that I see you because we're the same. Not the case. You shouldn't do that. The thing I did was a mistake. No, but it was really funny. Like, it was funny. I don't actually. I'm actually really happy that I did that because it made me laugh so much the next day. I was like, nothing to lose.
Well, you say that, but I think we get on the same wave pattern, Anthony, because I wrote up a query very similar to that. And I felt her energy. I was so stoked. But I decided I'm going to sleep on it and I'll look at it tomorrow. I deleted it.
See, that's very smart. That's very, yeah. I know, like, people, that's great. That's amazing. Like, people do that, I guess, with, like, anger. Like, when you want to say something to someone, like, you're supposed to write it down, like, write a note to them and then keep it and not give it to them. Very smart. It's a good way to go. You get all, express what you want to express, you get it all out, and then you get to look at it and be like, ooh, that's not the way I should say that. I feel like I should do that in most situations with most things. I don't though. I just say stuff. And then I hope that people can either forgive me or understand what my intention is. That's pretty much like what I'm like, I promise you I meant well. I messed up by this part of it, but I'm sorry. But yeah, it's
problem with being too, like, if you screened everything you wanted to say, you get my husband who goes, are you using your customer service voice on me? I'm like, am I
yeah, that's man, yeah. So I'm afraid. I don't know. I don't want to. I feel like if I it's just like the overthinking that would lead me to say silly stuff would be the overthinking that would lead me to say nothing. And like, if my option, and of course I know it's not like, that's a false dichotomy. It's not like perfect, split like that. But it feels in the, since I'm this is what I do. I speak hyperbolically most of the time. I'm a ridiculous human person, monster. But so it's either gonna be I overthink to the point where I don't talk and I sit by myself in a room, or I talk too much and then I have to eventually apologize or hope Steven's there to tell people that I mean well and I'm not bad and I'm joking.
Very good at it, by the way. He just slides in and goes, Anthony, you mean this, don't you? And everyone's like, yay!
Yeah, that's it. That's what I do. It is pretty funny. Twitter is so interesting for that. Like we interact on Twitter a little bit. So like, you see like the stuff I post. Like, most of the time I just post like silly jokes and like random things that come to my mind. And I am really bad, like not with the typing it, but I'm really bad with my initial reactions and responses when people don't understand my jokes. Like, if someone comments and they seem to like the joke went over their head, or they're just like, or they respond like seriously to a thing that's very silly, and I'm just like, my initial response is just like, delete Twitter. What happened? Delete it. I made one. I messed it up. I broke Twitter. I broke it. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm backing off. It's not like and it's either, so then I'm like, do I block them? Do I block this person? What do I do? And it was like, I don't know. So like, and I've learned that I don't have to respond. Like, I don't have to actively respond to everything. So I do feel like I feel like a jerk sometimes because I don't know how old you are. I just realized I shouldn't ask that probably, but I just
would never ask, Anthony.
I won't ask. It just occurred to me because I was like, I don't know if it's because I grew up before computers. So now I feel like every time someone types to me, it's like a conversation where like I feel like a jerk if I don't respond, Yeah. Where it's like someone will say something to me and I'm like, oh, I have to say this thing back to you or else I'm a jerk. So I'm really trying hard to like recognize those things. I'm still really bad at juggling so many random things at once, and like, it's a good problem to have. I'm thankful that anyone, listens or pays attention to like what I post, but every once in a while I'm just like, I don't know how to respond to this. And it's not great,
Well, and that's why probably the techie generation installed the like button.
Yeah.
I don't have to talk to you, but I will like it and let you know I was here.
Yeah, that's pretty much, you're absolutely right, because I fall into like the Sarlacc pit Sarlacc pit is what I'm going to call it. I fall into the Sarlacc pit where it's all I do. I don't actually talk to anyone. I just like, in their teeth. And I'm just like liking everything on the way down, baby. Like, I'm just stuck down there because, well, and it's, you know what really made me aware of that was those stupid circles. So You know Chirpy circles?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Okay.
finally broke through and got one.
Did you? Okay, so for those of you who like aren't obsessed with Twitter and addicted to Twitter and know everything about Twitter and live your life on Twitter, there are these things called Chirpy circles, which basically just create a diagram of the people you engage with the most or whom engage with you the most on Twitter. And it's evil. It's basically like Meow Meow Beans from Community, or it's like that nosedive episode of Black Mirror where like you rate people like one, you know, like you can see who rates you highest and lowest, and it's not great. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make anyone feel good. It's not cool. And what happens to people like me is I usually don't know how to respond to certain things, but I do like people and I try to I like their posts. So I end up in a Starlight pit where I'm not in their circle, but I'm like, I like all your posts, man. Like, this isn't, what am I doing? I thought we were best friends and I'm not even in your circle. And like, then I feel bad about my life. And then I'm like, do I have to, I guess I comment, I have to start commenting. And now what do I say? Do you care what I say? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, is it based off of like direct interaction and like retweets? It's not really about likes.
Yeah, it's not about, like, from what I've read, it's not about likes. It's just about like actual engagement and like comments. There is one that a user on Twitter created that like you can choose what they base it on, which is kind of interesting. But I don't ever see anyone use it. But I like it actually because you can choose more circles, and it's like this whole universe of people that you're familiar with. I don't really like any of them though. It all drives me a little crazy. I don't get it. It's just like I'm already not great at like juggling, you know, the like sociability, where I'm just like knowing exactly who my people are and like seeing them, making sure I see them. I don't understand how any of it works, and I think the algorithm is like kind of weird and magic and sometimes evil, you know. Like I see your posts all the time, and like I feel like we interact enough. And that's good. It's a great thing, but like, isn't it funny that of the like however many thousand people I like see on a daily basis, like I see your posts pretty often, or like I see your face pretty often, you know?
It's okay. I hacked into algorithm. I'm doing this on purpose. Just in it and
just making it rain, Fanny, on us. You've had more success lately on social media, right? Like, do you feel like you have more people interacting with you lately?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because I engage a lot too. You know, that's half the battle. Right
yeah,
there.
it's crazy, and it's interesting. It's interesting trying to like reconcile like things you want to do and want to say versus things you feel like will benefit you in some way, and trying to find like the center of that Venn diagram, which is kind of where I think or like where I personally feel like I need to find myself more often than I do, because like I spend a lot of time like selfishly just like I don't engage with as many people as I'd like to, but I try. And then like what ends up happening to me personally is I have my like various hats I have to wear throughout the day. So I'm like single dadding and I'm just like out there doing stuff. So then I'm like, oh wait, I'm neglecting my like Twitter situation. So I get on Twitter and I kind of like binge, like try to engage, but then I'm like not there for a while. And so I don't, so it's such an interesting interaction, like battle, just trying to deal with that.
And I think that honestly is it's a trap. It's a Starlight pit. It's like, oh, be on our social media 24/7 because we're running ads and making money off you. I hate it. I honestly hate that the fact that the more I like the interaction, but the more time you spend on it, the more random posts you do. No, I post things that I think are funny or that I think are relevant or that I'm dealing with throughout the day. And if I think it's Twitter worthy, I put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And like on the weekends, I'm hardly on, but I don't think anyone's on during the weekends because I get on. It's so boring.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny, like learning those little things about Twitter, because I feel exactly how you feel. It's like you said earlier, like not having the like social interactions in the last couple of years as often as we might otherwise. I have found myself like just in the Twitter pool more often, just like hanging out and seeing who's diving in and it's like floating around and, mostly drowning. I'm drowning, Fanny. But like,
I'll tell you like,
yes, please. That's all I ask of you. No, but it's so like, like social media in general is such it's a casino. Like it's such like it's a terrible conditioning trap. Like it's just like, oh, let us feed you these endorphins. Oh, get this in your brain. Like, oh, I don't like any of it. It's like, oh, they're tricking the reward centers of our brain, and it's not cool, and it hurts my heart. And I don't know how to quit it because I love it, and I'm gonna marry it, and it's my new girlfriend. And Fanny, stop talking bad about my girlfriend.
I gotta say what I gotta say. She's a bitch. Um,
It's true though. No, it is true, and I think it's funny how like we have toxic relationships in different ways with the various social media apps. I mean, like I recently talked about TikTok and just how it's driving me crazy, and just like I haven't even been doing it lately. I need to get back onto it just for the sake of getting the audience and building it and all of that. And it is beneficial, but I need it. I find it hard if like the juice doesn't feel like it's worth the squeeze. Like if it feels so much like an oddly determined jackpot where it's just like a randomly determined pull, like I'll pull it and it's just like a slot machine of like of victories. If I don't feel like there's some
and that you're like, eh.
yeah, like if I don't feel like some sense of like meritocracy or like consistency, I get sad where I'm like because like if you take any like psychology 101, they're like, oh well, conditioning, if someone tells a bad joke and no one laughs, they're less likely to tell a joke. Nope. Like I will tell you, I am I can be, listen, I will say a joke, and if I think it's funny, I will probably say it again to other people. Like that's the thing. I'll be like, you're not the audience for that particular thing. You know what I mean? Like for instance, I made a stupid Carrie joke today, or about where I said the movie Carrie implies the existence of a movie called Apathy. I made like a stupid joke, and I was like, oh, it goes over. But I made the same joke yesterday, and like one person liked it, and then I made it today, and more people, like a lot, several more people liked it, and were like saying stuff, and I was like, look, it's just literally a different audience at different times. It's like sample sizes are changing, so it's like if I post at 11 o'clock, it's not going to be the same people as if I post the next day at 5 o'clock. So it's like, so like recognizing like what an audience wants and like what your intention is and what your intention, what you're going to give an audience and what they expect in return. It's all like this really interesting, exchange that it's just like it's a weird language that you have, like a social language that you have with other people. And it's just like, oh, some people speak your language, some people don't. You have to figure out who's who and what works, so it's like, and so it's really hard for me to recognize when something just simply is like, oh, that wasn't funny. That was just a dumb thing that you thought. Don't say that. Versus like, oh, that was funny, just not for them. So it's like trying to figure that out. It's been interesting on TikTok. So I'm like, well, TikTok's about like primarily young people, and I'm just like, I am not a young person. So I'm just like, I don't.
A lot of it is slapstick comedy, though, isn't it?
It feels that way. Yeah, it feels
like people viral are either really bizarre, like don't make tacos on the counter, that's disgusting, or the other one is just like somebody took a dumb spill and we're laughing because it's hilarious.
Yeah,
slapstick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start pushing my kid over. I'm gonna film my kid. I'm just gonna push him. And then he'd be like, oh, he's bad dad, but 4 billion
views.
Not
in any way, shape, or form endorse this comment.
I will never do that to my son on camera. For those of you who haven't been listening to every episode of our podcast, I love my son. He's the greatest boy in the world. No one else is as good as him. It's always going to be that way.
So cute, too.
Oh, gosh, I love him. He's going to be Jack Skellington for Halloween. I'm so excited. It's
so are you going to be the dog? Or are you gonna be Oogie Boogie?
Okay, I'm either gonna be Zero the dog, or I'm gonna be Lock, Shock, or Barrel. I don't know which one I'm gonna be. Probably the little kid with the like devil horns. Like what is that? Lock? I don't remember. But yeah, so I might be him. I'm not sure. Do you celebrate Halloween? Do you do anything? Yeah. Are you gonna dress up?
Mm-hmm.
What do you? Can you tell what you're gonna be or no?
I'm going to be Mary Poppins.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. Oh my gosh.
And my husband is going to be Bert the chimney sweep.
Yes, that's perfect.
He built his own chimney sweep out of an old-fashioned broom. And
oh, wait. Oh, that's amazing. He sounds awesome. No, that's great. Have you always, what's your relationship with Halloween? Have you always liked Halloween, or?
We weren't allowed to as kids.
Okay.
One, we also grew up in the country, but it was like we always made the argument with my mom, like, well, you could bus us into the cities like the other kids do. My mom didn't want us to have that much candy, also didn't endorse Halloween. And my dad just kind of accepted it because they both went trick-or-treating as kids.
How can you keep that from your children after experiencing it yourself? Like what?
So my very first trick-or-treat, we were not in costume. It just happened to be Halloween. I don't know what we were coming back from. It was just dad and us kids. And we were all a little bit older. So dad was like, hey, do you guys want to go trick-or-treating? And we're like, is this happening right now? is this for real? So we like literally put on our gloves and our bandanas, kind of silly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That was the only costumes we had. And I just remember going up to the first house, running up there, just so excited. And I literally went trick or treat, boom, into the glass door. Into the glass door.
That's amazing.
And everyone else just kind of turned and like,
that's amazing. Your costume went from like G-rated to like R-rated in like 1 second. Just blood everywhere. Who is this bloody child? It's terrifying. Give her more candy.
Oh, that was my first experience.
That's so great. Oh my god. So, did you have to stop trick-or-treating after that, or did they just like?
I did not get a bloody nose, but it did hurt quite a bit. And then we only did like a couple of houses. We were teenagers. Nobody gives candy up to teenagers that weren't dressed up. I'm like, Dad, set us up for failure.
Yeah, for sure. You know what though? I realized I've never had like an adult Halloween. Like I've been to maybe one Halloween party myself. Like as an adult person, like, you know, like I always see in movies where it's like the adults are having fun, they're all dressed up and drinking and they're doing fun stuff. Like it seems like a blast. I've never had that experience. Like I want that. I want to go to there. Have you done that? Like, is that a thing you do? See, like you live a great life. You're amazing. I get it.
I say you should probably check out the campgrounds, because up in Wisconsin Dells is a really touristy area. Most people know about it, but some people don't. Wisconsin Dells, big tourist area, water parks, theme parks, fun stuff. Cool. And they have campgrounds too. Well, this year our in-laws invited us out and we shared a cabin with them. And what they did in like end of September, they had their Halloween party across the entire like campground.
That's awesome.
So, oh yeah. So, I mean, we already got to debut the Mary Poppins costumes. And about midday, so about 1 till about 3, they took the kids out and trick-or-treating, and you walk everywhere, and everyone's like decorated the cabins, they decorated the golf carts. And then from 3 until 6, the adults get to go out.
Oh, that's so cool.
I've never seen so many Jell-O shots in my life.
Nice.
And we're like, I can't take any more Jell-O. I'm sorry, that's just too much sugar.
As soon as you said Jell-O shot, my whole body was like, why do we do that? Like, I don't understand Jell-O shots. Like, I get shots. Yeah. I don't take shots anymore, since I was like, because I am older than 30, and my body's like, don't do that. And I'm like, I'll listen to this one. Now I say that, and having said that, I put that into the universe. Steven's gonna be like, it's my birthday, let's do this. And Steven isn't even a drinker, but for some reason he's gonna be the one that's like, you know that thing you said, ruin your body, here it is, this is for me. And I'm like, yeah.
His ears are burning right now. He's thinking he's planning this party.
Yeah, it's his beautiful hair is just going up next to his ears. It's like the Steven alert. You said like you don't try to write every day. You just like whenever you're inspired, or you like but like, do you ever get down on yourself when you're not productive? Or like, do you ever feel like, do you go through those dry spells?
Usually it's like, you know, when the house starts falling apart and I go, oh, I really should do dishes. I'm tired of cleaning the same fork every single day. Yeah. So for me, it's like my general vicinity, the feng shui isn't there. Yeah. And then I do like feel really crappy. So I definitely take care of my physical environment more than my creative environment. But yeah, I feel like they go hand in hand. When your physical environment is into spec with what you need, then the creativity comes.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Like I do feel like my space kind of reflects wherever I am internally, and you know, if it is clean, I'm more likely to be able to mess it up with creativity. You know, like that's what, you know, just like I can make a mess.
New shiny table. Let's get out the arts and crafts.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly like that's precisely what it is. So it's like, and I do exactly what you just said, where it's like I can see like 3 cups from where I am, and I'm just like, it's happening slowly, and then what'll happen is. After the 2 weeks, my son will go with his mom, and I'll spend like a good like 2 hours just cleaning everything, and then I'll spend the rest of the time making a mess, you know, or I'm just like, like, it's here comes like new messes, you know. And so like right now we're at the tail end of our previous project. Like we just finished our book, so we're recording the musical part of it, and I'm outlining the new book, which is like, it's been fun, but it's also like, oh, there's a lot of stuff I hadn't thought of yet. Like, you know, like, it's just like, oh, I have to build a whole world, and I forgot you know, like, I haven't done this in a while because our previous book was so semi-autobiographical, and I was like, oh man, like, this is like the previous world was built in, like I lived it, no big deal, you know. But like this one, I'm like, oh, I'm creating a universe, oh man, you know. So I'm like, you know. But I love it. Like that's why I don't know. I should ask, what's your favorite part of like storytelling and like writing in general? Like, do you have like a favorite thing or like something that like you really get into whenever you are into it?
Probably the speed zone I get into as I start nearing the end.
Mhm.
This entirely is based on the fact that like I know where it's going to end. If I don't have the speed part isn't there. So I've got it mostly written. I'm coming up on the end and then I just hit like 90, 100 miles per hour and I'm hitting it hard and fast and I know exactly where it's going. And I don't have to worry about the plot or anything because everything just moves streamlined into this ending. That's it for me. When I catch that momentum, that keeps me going until the end.
Yeah, you just find that like weird flow. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
Everything's like this serendipitous, weird, you know, I like synchronicity. I'm doing nothing. Like, God is working through me. Like I am like, you know, it's like, it is it's like it is. It's funny because like I think most writers like feel that way at some point in their project, whatever it may be, and like sometimes it's not always even like. I love when I get in that weird flow state of with like first drafts where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it, like I'm getting through this so quickly. How am I doing this? What is magic? It's all good, and then it's not, of course. Do you have a plan this week for the stuff that you'd like to get done, or are you just gonna wait for inspiration to strike?
We're going to brother-in-law's homecoming. He's an alumni. He goes every
Everyone's
year.
having fun but me. I get it, Fanny. Steven abandoned me. Fanny's abandoned me. I'm gonna be home doing all the work, and Fanny and Steven are out there partying, just having fun. That's cool. No big deal. All right,
Very
guys.
into the best thing. We're gonna do the parade. We're gonna do the cool bookstores. We're gonna look at all the things. We're gonna go party at all the clubs that are just like smashed and lines are out the door because all the alumni are back for homecoming. And then at 3 a.m. we're getting insomnia cookies.
That's awesome. No,
That's the plan.
I guess I'm going to finish my outline. I'm going to write a newsletter. I'm going to host a horror movie thing. I'm going to. I do a bunch of nonsense, but this is a week where my son goes with his mom, so like I plan on doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's been fantastic talking to you. I'm so glad that you decided to join me this week. Since Steven completely abandoned me and just ruined our entire friendship, just so we can have like be a good husband and father and you know do good things for his family. Like you know, just because he's an amazing human being and just you know and just beautiful all around. Just because he looks like Thor and just because Chris Hemsworth could play him in a movie. Just because he's a fantastic artist and everything good about him. So just because of all that, but I'm so thankful to have you here. It's so cool to like be able to actually meet you and talk to you and stuff. Where can people find you? Like where should we send people to get to know you?
Well, my only social media now, because all the other ones got hacked, is at Fantasy Books on Twitter.
So Fantasy Books. I'll put it up on the screen. I'll also link it below. Do you have a website? Is it fantasybooks.com or
It is.
okay?
Got that one.
I thought so.
www.fantasybooks.com. There are free stories on there.
Awesome.
Check them out.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening and watching. If you're only listening on one of the various podcasting apps, just come join us on YouTube and subscribe. I don't know what to say it anymore. I'm begging you. I love you. Yep.
Fanny Tay Crispin. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, welcome to the show, Fanny Tay Crispin. No. Fanny, what can I do? What can I do to get them to subscribe? You subscribed, right? Like, I think you subscribed. Yeah. So, like,
as soon as like you came in the general vicinity of Twitter, I was like, these guys are awesome. Yes.
Oh, I'm so thankful. I don't know. Like, it's so funny. Like, I thank you so much. Like, I don't know how to get like. I'm trying. I'm fighting. I'm fighting a good fight, Fanny.
Anthony, you're the best. Oh, that was such a great idea, Anthony. Oh my gosh, you just have such a clever mind. There we go. Is that good?
Thank you. I love these lies. Let's keep doing this.
Sprinkle those in. Honey, take Crispin.